Hello, girls! Welcome to part 4 of our apparently 6 million part series of the story of Thumbelina. Last time we left off, and the winter was setting in, and she was cold and alone. Well, let's see how or if she got herself out of this. Alright. Close to the wood was a large cornfield. But the corn had long since been cut and carried away. Only the bare, dry stubble stood up on the frozen ground. To her, it was just like another great woodland. Oh, how she shivered as she went through it. And thus she came to the field mouse's door. It was a little hole right under some stubble. There lived the field mouse, quite warm and cozy. She had a whole room full of grain and a nice kitchen and larder. Larder was an old-timey thing where they kept the butter and dairy products. Poor Thumbelina stood outside the door like a beggar girl and begged for a little barley corn, for she had not had anything to eat in 2 whole days. "You poor little creature," said the field mouse, for at heart she was a kind-hearted field mouse. "Come into my warm room and dine with me." Afterwards, because she liked Thumbelina, she said, "You are quite welcome to stay with me all the winter. But you must keep my room nice and clean and tell me stories, for I am very fond of stories." Thumbelina did everything for the good old mouse, Thumbelina did everything the good old mouse asked of her, and had a very nice time of it. "We shall soon be having a visitor," said the field mouse one day. "My friend always visits me once a week. He is better housed even than I am, for he has vast halls and goes about in a beautiful black fur coat. If only you could have him for a husband, you would be well provided for. But unfortunately, he cannot see. Now mind, tell him the very prettiest stories you know." But Thumbelina did not trouble her head about it at all, for she knew who the friend was. He was only a mole. So he came and paid them a visit in his rich black fur coat. "He was very wise and learned," said the field mouse. "His house, moreover, was 10 times as large as hers. However, he absolutely could not endure the sun and the pretty flowers. Having never seen them, he spoke slightingly of them." Thumbelina had to sing to him, and she sang "Fly Away Beetle" and "The Blackcap Trips the Meadow Along." The mole fell in love with her because of her sweet voice, but he said nothing at the time, for he was a very discreet person. Or mole, I guess would be a better word for that. He had recently dug himself a long passage under the earth from his own house to theirs, and he gave the field mouse and Thumbelina permission to walk in it whenever they liked. At the same time, he told them not to be frightened of the dead bird which lay in the passage. It was a whole bird with feathers and beak complete, which certainly must have died quite recently, when the winter began, and had been buried just where he was making his passage. The mole took a piece of touchwood in his mouth, for it shines like fire in the dark, and went in front to light them through the long, dark passage. When they came to the dead bird, the mole put his broad nose through the earth above till there was a large hole. Through this opening, The light shone on the body of a dead swallow, with its pretty wings folded down to its sides, and its head and legs drawn in beneath its feathers. The poor bird had certainly died from exposure to the cold, so always bundle up when you're out in the cold, especially if you're a swallow. Thumbelina felt very sorry for it. She was fond of all the little birds. Had they not sung and twittered for her so prettily through the summer? But the mole gave it a kick with its short legs and said, "It will chirp no more now. How miserable it must be to be born a little bird. Thank heaven none of my children will be that. Birds like that have nothing in their world but their kiwit, which is apparently bird talk, and must starve to death in the winter, the stupid things." "You may well say that, sensible creature as you are," remarked the field mouse. "But what has a bird to show for itself when the winter comes, for all of its kee-witting? It must starve and freeze to death. Very romantic, I dare say. It's a weird story." Thumbelina said nothing, but when the other two had turned their backs on the dead bird, she bent down over it, brushed aside the feathers which lay over its head, kissed its closed eyes. "Perhaps it was this very one which sang so prettily to me in the summer," she thought. "What joy it gave me, the lovely darling bird." Now we are about at that time where this segment shall end. We have reached a point where Thumbelina and her two companions, the mole and the field mouse, going through a hole to go see the mole's house, and they came across a dead bird. And it turns out that Thumbelina likes birds, but these two other creatures do not. So that could very well cause some tension. But I love you girls very, very much. I hope you're doing well. I was thinking about you a lot today. I miss you, and I love you. And I hope you guys are enjoying these stories and are enjoying these videos. I'm enjoying making them. You girls have a good night, a good day, whatever time you're watching this. And I will see you soon on the next installment of Thumbelina. I love you. Bye-bye.